Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to The Darkest Hour. Tonight is episode 77 with FeSeb and Odin. Should be a good one. It's a bunch of company men on tonight with Jay. Should be fun. Let's go say hi to the gents.
Yeah, Kermit voice is one of those things that you just you're not gonna off the cuff that one.
Hello. What's going on, fellas?
Howdy.
Hey, how's it going?
Yep.
Good to have you guys here.
We're trying to convince Sebastian to show us his Kermit voice.
Dude, you're trying to get me to fumble. It ain't happening.
No, that's not fun.
Open the podcast to the fumble.
Here. Yeah, let's hear the Kermit the Frog here. I know you can do it.
I know you can do better than that.
Guys, I'm Kermit the Frog.
Yeah, see that easily way better.
That's good.
What a gracious host Soma is by coming in and just doing it like absolute shit so that you can look good when you do it.
Yeah, I'm a good host. Yeah. It was totally awful and shitty. Thanks. No, it was pretty bad. Gentlemen, it's good to have you expect the attempt. Thank you. Gentlemen, it's good to have you guys here for episode 77. Seb and Odin, and of course myself are all essentially company men. We all work at Ironmace. Yeah, Jay, it's 3v1 today, but you know what? As a wizard, you could probably take it.
Don't worry.
This is how we announced actually that Jay Griffith has joined Ironmace.
Oh, sorry. To the wonderful people who do everything in their power to make the best game ever at the most amazing and humbling studio of Ironmace Games. Is that good?
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Do you have a gun here? Is someone's pointing a gun to his head.
Yeah, he's just off screen. SDF is right there in the corner.
He's got his finger to his lips. Gun.
Oh, shit.
Jay is Iron Mace's resident WoW player. He
right.
farms gold in Azeroth. That's
I'm
his
doing
job.
research, you know.
Yes, Jay. When was the last time you played Dark and Darker? When was the last time you played Dead?
Oh god, like 2 weeks ago, I think.
What the fuck?
Not even arena, huh?
Wow.
That was the last time I played. A couple hours.
Are you over it? Or are you just wowing?
The wipe's still the same wipe that people have been bitching about for 3 months. I mean, what?
Yeah.
You know,
hey, I'm not gonna argue with you. Odin, good to see you, sir. How are you?
Pretty damn good, man. Seb and I were both just in Korea not too long ago at the office, and been pretty busy since then because we got a lot of stuff coming up. Some things we can talk about, some things we can't. But pretty excited for next wipe regardless, and just been Ken Kenobi, the thick man himself. He's just such an inspiration that he got me hooked on going to the gym too, and it's been like
good.
Nice.
I've been watching like hours of videos every day. Like I've spent $200. All of my Cyber Monday spendings were on like supplements and protein and stuff. And so it's got its claws dug into me now, but it's good. I feel way better than I did months ago. So
all right, now, just make sure the diet matches.
Oh god, dude, it's actually hard since I've started like lifting seriously and spending a lot of time at the gym. It's actually hard to eat as much as I need to. Like I'm easily getting my caloric deficit to lose the weight that I want to lose because I don't even have the appetite.
See, that's
hard
funny.
to get all that protein.
Whenever I work out a lot, I'm fucking famished and I want to destroy the kitchen. But I have to be really careful. Like I'm working out again myself, and it's eggs, tortilla chips, meat and veggies, 2,000 calories or less. But man, at night after a good workout during the day, I just get this fucking midnight munchies thing where I just want to destroy the kitchen.
Before or after the joint?
I am not smoking. I haven't smoked weed in a while. Actually, it's been several weeks. I mentioned it before. My vocal cord is damaged, and when I was smoking a lot, and I was essentially just every day charring the fucking vocal cord, and was not getting better. And I went to the doctor 4 times in like 6 months or so, 3 or 4 times. Are you
telling me you're the type of person who will smoke with like a sore throat?
No, it's not like a sore throat. It's just that there was like a one peg style polyp that he's been talking about. He talked about it on his stream recently.
I was gonna say you and One Peg both have issues with the throat. You know, y'all were both in the same city. I don't know. just
Coincidence? I think not.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, like if you're inhaling hot smoke, it's not gonna help heal anything that's wrong in there. And it's not like when you have a hurt vocal cord, it's not like you have a sore throat. It's like way down in your neck, right? Way down in your throat.
You gotta get that special tea, the tea that voice actors use.
Yeah, well, honestly, instead of trying to do that
That's
kind
the
of
thing.
stuff, I was just like, well, why don't I just talk less and not smoke? And just like
Or
try
that.
to
Yeah,
let it
that works.
naturally heal. And honestly, just not smoking for 5-6 weeks now has helped a lot. I'm yelling less at video games, obviously, which helps.
Mm.
But yeah, it was to the point where if I was when I would smoke and then I would try to talk, like my voice would drop. Like you guys probably heard it many times in the podcast over the last year or whatever. I'd be speaking, like I definitely caught it. I'd have to like clear my
Nope.
throat a lot or whatever. Like I know chat definitely heard me clearing my throat all the time and like
Oh, yeah.
restarting a sentence, and that was because my voice was dropping out. But I'm not having as many issues already. So, but anyway, we don't have to talk about this shit because Seb, this is your first time on the podcast. It is great to finally see your face and
Thank
meet
you
you
for
here
having me.
and have you on. Of course,
Mhm.
man. How are you?
I'm great. I'm after going to Korea, I got to spend like a ton of time with SDF and really got to kind of break bread with him and Terry. So it was really, really fun. And it made me realize a lot more because obviously I think one of the biggest things that people seem to forget is that um, we're new to this stuff, and I was also under the guise of like, okay, why don't we just do this? Why don't we just do that? And meeting them kind of opened my eyes up to okay, it's not that easy, and
Right.
so I definitely have a deeper respect and understanding for them, and also just for Ironmace in general and the stuff that we do. And I'm just hyped because I see a lot more of the vision.
Okay, that's great. So yeah, you guys mentioned obviously the Korea trip. We'll get into what you guys do in this next segment, but please tell us about the Korea trip. Tell us about G Star, how it went, how your experience was at the office, and cap that off with what you guys do at Ironmace, please.
Well, I'll let Odin take over because actually when I was supposed to go to G Star, but when I got there, they were basically like, you don't have to go to G Star, just stay at the office with us. So that's where we split off. And I guess Odin, you can
I
talk about
see.
your
Oh,
experience.
okay.
I can't share too much about G Star because some of the meetings are
Sure. Wait, you can. Yeah, for sure. You guys know
It-
OPSEC and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I will talk about what I can. First of all, Korea is amazing. We were where we were in where the office is in Seoul was like super nice. I actually really enjoyed it. I went for a little nighttime walk my last night there when it was raining, and just grabbed a little bit of food on the way back to the hotel and ate and chilled for a few hours to wind down from the weekend. We were in Busan for a couple days for G Star, staying on Hyundai Beach, which was absolutely gorgeous. If you guys look up
I saw
Hyundai
the
Beach,
pictures.
yeah, the strip that's on there is it's so cool, man. It's like it's what you think of as a stereotypical like fun city to visit.
Nice.
There was plenty of meetings, plenty of we met like the Power World devs. They're like pretty good friends of ours now. We were out drinking with them very late, and yeah, it was just a really fun time. Honestly, a lot of good meetings, a lot of good connections with potential partners in the future. Nothing that I can really talk about right now, but just the opportunity to go there and actually get to see it and experience a different culture entirely was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, same here. I mean, Korea. So I grew up in Italy, and like the streets are all broken. Everything's kind of like very rough
Old.
and yeah, and old and antique and everything. And then I went to Korea, and dude, it was a crazy experience. Like everything's modern, everything's really really clean, everything's open 24/7. The food is great. Like it was just a very eye opening experience. I really enjoyed it there. It's definitely a place that I could see myself like living in, and I definitely want to go back. It's very cool.
Awesome. And tell us about growing up in Italy. Are you an Italian citizen? Do you have like a military dad
Yeah,
or
yeah,
mom
yeah.
or
So,
something like that? Or
oh no. My I'm half American, half Italian, but I grew up for the most of my life in Italy. I went to international schools, which is why I have such a good accent and I haven't lost it. But essentially, Italy's amazing, man. I love Italy. It's
yeah, it's awesome.
obviously it's rough around the edges, but it's got its own little shine to it, and it definitely has a lot going in terms of like food and culture, sports, and I mean, it's just a kick-ass place to live. Like
It's cool there.
everything, yeah. Like being in America now, I'm visiting LA for a bit, and I noticed the difference between Italy and LA, and it's like in Italy, I don't have to take a car to go anywhere. Like I can literally walk anywhere I need to. If I need to go to like a store, it's literally right outside my house. I've got, it's just full of everything. It's super packed. Whereas here, it's like I gotta drive 30 minutes if I wanted to go to the grocery store.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's only a
and
mile away. Yeah.
exactly. And
Yeah.
LA traffic is horrible. That is, geez, I thought in Milan, the city, the traffic was bad. It's like, oh, I'm 5 minutes late, or I'm like 5 minutes held in traffic. Dude, it's like hours of traffic here. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's bad. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've been to Rome, I've been to Florence, I've been to
nice,
Sicily and climbed Mount Etna.
nice, nice, nice.
I've driven through northern Italy. When I was in the Air Force, I had a bunch of friends who were also nuke guys at Aviano Air Force Base.
Oh,
And
cool.
so
Yeah,
I would take like a Ryanair flight for like €5 from my base in Germany or
yeah, they're
England.
cheap. Yeah.
And we get a rental car, and yeah, you get there in like 2 hours. It's like $5 to fly there. That's how
Yeah,
crazy it
for
was
sure.
back in the day.
And dude, Florence, I have to say personally for me, Tuscany is like if I have to recommend somebody, okay, you're going to Italy and you want to like go really witness Italian culture and everything, Tuscany is where it's at. Tuscany,
Yeah,
you're just at the right spot. There's so much culture there. The food's amazing. You have a city, you have one of the cities, but it's not really like super city, and you can go out and you see all like the nice trees and hills and stuff.
absolutely. Yeah, it was fun driving around. Like we would start at Aviano Air Force Base, and then like drive to like
Mm,
Ljubljana, Slovenia, or like some random
yeah.
place. It's like, oh, I'm gonna drive to a whole other
Mm,
country. Well, yeah, it takes 2 hours. That's because that's how
yeah.
compact Europe is. And that whole area is really beautiful, and it feels definitely a lot different than southern Italy.
Definitely,
It
yeah.
feels way different than Sicily.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
but that's really cool. You definitely sound like you probably like grew up in Cleveland or something like that, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. I'm jealous that you speak fluent Italian and you have an American English accent and speak fluent English. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's pretty nice.
That's
I
super
can't
cool.
lie. Yeah.
Gentlemen, can you please tell us what you guys do at Ironmace?
Floor's yours, Odin.
So I've been on here and talked about it before, but
Yeah.
for anybody who doesn't know, I am in the marketing team, and I handle more of well, Soma has the experience and the know how to do more of the like large scale like marketing partnerships, like advertising and actually managing contracts with talent management agencies. I'm more the sort of person of contact, point of contact between those agencies. So when we run campaigns with influencers, I'm usually the one that works with the talent management. I also run the Twitter, and I do the content creator management in our Discord. And there's actually a bit to talk about on some of that. We'll get to that a little bit later. There's a cool announcement that we have that we'll get to a little
Nice.
bit later in here.
Absolutely.
And yeah, that's pretty much it. I generally don't have a life outside of Dark and Darker. So aside from my actual duties, I'm also just like constantly on reading to the point of the community. We see everything that you guys talk about in the Discord, on streams, in chats. I get DMs from a lot of you guys. I read all of the Reddit threads. I know, and Seb does the same thing. We have an eye on all that stuff because it's like pretty much all we do.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Seb?
Um, so my Ironmace journey is a little wild because I started at Ironmace. I used to be a warden, and I got hired from the warden team, which is basically a Discord mod, which it's a little it's a little unorthodox usually. You don't see that much, but I appreciate them for giving me the opportunity. Outside of being a warden, I love playing the game. I mean, I, I'm just a huge fan. And so I joined basically to facilitate the whole like night program, which is kind of similar to the Tarkov's Sherpa program. And so I basically designed that from zero and figured out like, okay, hey, this is how we're going to do it. And I actually don't even remember how it really happened, but through talking to SDF, he was like, "Oh, you seem to know quite a lot about the game. How about you help with like balance?" So, and at the time, things were kind of, going around, and the balance was a little dodgy. So obviously, I think they were looking for somebody that knew what they were doing, and from there, I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And so, yeah, now I help with balance, and that kind of the night thing evolved into now I'm more of like a overall community manager, working directly like with Grayson to set up events like the Halloween event that we did, and I do that with Chunkius. So me and Chunkius, we're basically on the community management team now, and I personally, just on the side, I basically do balance with directly with STF.
I just want to jump in on that and run off the side immediately as soon as you mentioned that you work on the balance. There was already accusations in chat. Is this a cleric main? Everybody, I just want to see like in Jay's chat. Just
Man.
I want to see everyone. I want to see what your guess is at what class he plays based on the fact that he works on balance. And he's not the only one, by the way.
Now, I just want to preface this by saying that not everything I suggest gets put in. If you guys are saying that I play cleric, I just want to let you know that I
Nobody's got it right
personally,
yet.
just me personally, I think cleric is a little strong. But that's just my opinion, right? Like I suggest things, and then SDF does with those suggestions what he wants, basically.
Wow, nobody has gotten it right yet. Interesting.
Do you want to reveal the class?
I feel like it's pretty easy. I mean, I definitely, some people know for sure.
I'll give you guys a hint. He was in the season trailer last season, doing something that made everybody very upset. Or very controversial, we'll say.
I remember that.
There we go. Soapy got it. Soapy got it.
That is
nice, yeah.
That is a core staple of the game, bro. You can't take it out now.
The bee-hopping motherfucker.
Yeah, that was me. I was the one who bee-hopped in the trailer.
I turn you guys up a little bit here. 1 second.
So yeah, that's all your fault. That's what I just heard.
Yeah, basically I'm listen, I'm talking to SDF and I'm trying to convince them to leave bee-hopping as it is. Maybe we need to tone down the whole,
you're
like,
the reason, you're the reason nobody wants to play.
Well, we'll talk about balance later on for sure. I want to get both of your takes on your dream scenarios for balance, and if you had the keys for a day, the powers of STF, what would you do? Just for fun, obviously.
I'll let you go first, Ryan.
Well, we'll get to that later because
let's hear from Jay, dude. This guy's been quiet this whole time.
Yeah, I want to ask Jay, actually, what is it going to take to bring you back? What is it going to take next season for the wizard guy to come back? What do you think? I want to know.
Would just like to say I'm not playing the wipe because it sucks. Just to get that one out there. I don't know.
Got that.
Stuff. Anyways, just some things, some things and bits and not just the same fucking garbage. That's all.
So what do you need? Like a new? Do you need Sorcerer? Do you need a new map? Do you need the socket system? Do you need some new loop like subclasses?
Sure, and talk about.
Okay.
No, I mean
you need a fresh coat of paint, new tires.
Look, I'm simple. Like I don't need a whole new game every wipe. I just don't want the same game. That's it. That was the only problem. This wipe was no different than last wipe. It was the exact same.
Yep.
That's all.
Fair.
Yeah. I mean, I think we even self-admit, like I'm pretty sure even SDF and Terry would say the game itself, like the core of the game, hasn't really shifted that much in like a year and a half now.
It's been about the same game, yeah.
Yeah. So we're definitely aware of that.
And it's had stuff added. That's the
of course, but like there hasn't been sort of, and I think so. I was with STF, like sitting next to him during the Q&A, and I got to have like a very deep understanding of what his vision is for Dark and Darker. And I think one of the big content goals, at least, is to try and make things more natural, like he mentioned. And I think once that happens, the game will definitely feel a lot better. Like right now, with all of the queues and all of the stuff that we have, it's so, like, it just gets so heavy to think about, like old Dark and Darker, you could go in and you could fight like the Giga Chad, or you could fight the normal guy. You didn't know what you were running into. You could pull off the 1v3s. People didn't know the maps. Nothing was really min-maxed. So, like I remember back in playtest 2 or whatever it was, like me and my little brother, we used to play together. I mean, we still do, but we play less. But basically, like we would go into like Lindstrom's stream or like Nevix's stream and be like, "Oh, what perks do you use?" Or like nobody knew. Everybody was just kind of theory crafting back then. But now everybody knows everything. All of the information's out there, so it makes things a lot less natural.
Yeah, agreed.
And that kind of took away the allure and the passion of the game. That was like, oh, real dungeon delving, and oh, what am I fighting?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Luckily, I think we're going to see the table flipped a little bit. In fact, there was a dev Q&A on OnePeg's channel 2 days ago. I have the notes here. There was a post from Strange Religion on the Dark and Darker subreddit.
That's so bad.
Yeah, so bad. I mean, this time he didn't whip up a Google Doc, but that's okay. He has done a great job, again, as he always does, tossing everything in a nice, concise manner for us to look at. So here's the major features. 1, the continuous dungeon. Randomized modules within dungeons being tested. They are currently trying to get Forgotten Castle level 2 of Crypts randomized first. Players can spawn into a dungeon already in progress. They will run tests for when on the dock they appear spawn. The exit /spawn. The exit blue gates and delve deeper red gates. So bad. What are you doing here? This is hard to decipher. The blues and the delve deeper red gates will now be open immediately, and you can move around the dungeon whenever you want. There will be Fog of War, so you're only going to be able to uncover the mini-map as you progress in the dungeon. And when we change things to, we being Ironmace, to continuous dungeon, the map rotation will be gone. Fucking thank you. You no longer have to wait for Ice, Forgotten Castle, or Goblin. You just pick your map, and if there's an empty spot on a map in progress, you may get queued, spawned in right away. If no spots are available or enough people are in the queue, it will try and create a new map for all of you. And to cap that off, there's also going to be the removal of the Express Man because he won't be needed anymore. So let's talk about continuous dungeon. I'm extremely excited for this. I think this is going to breathe fresh new life into the game. It's not the perfect solution to make the game feel 100% completely fresh, but I
don't think anybody thinks it is either. I think it's so. I was at the
before we get into this, because this is actually going to segue a little bit. So I just want to clarify something. Before we get into discussing these topics, I just want to kind of do the announcement now because it makes more sense to give context. So we are going to be starting something called Tavern Table. I will be the host of that, and that is going to be an official Ironmace stream where we're going to talk a little bit more on the dev side of things. That'll be discussing. Yeah, so we've been pushing for this for a little while, but with the way that the development timelines have worked, it's been kind of difficult to nail down a time to actually get these things open for discussion. But that will be happening tentatively on December 13th. We are pretty sure it's going to happen that day unless something drastic changes or something explodes. So with that said, we'll be getting more context to some of the things that we talk about here tonight. So from the player side, we're going to be mostly discussing that, but the technical aspect of those things, giving insight into what that will actually entail, that stuff will come onto Tavern Table. But Seb, go ahead. Sorry, I cut you off there.
No, I think you should actually explain kind of like what the idea of Tavern Table is. That's a really important thing. Like go.
Yeah, that's not like just a random announcement we should. I wanted to actually wait and have like a full segment for that. I know you got excited.
I just wanted to give.
Let's wait on the Q&A and actually talk about Tavern Table. This is something that we've been wanting to do for several fucking months. Also, it would look weird if I hosted 2 podcasts. And also, Odin is good at this shit, and he's going to be an amazing host. And he has been the champion internally trying to get this thing up and running. This is his pet project, and I'm really, really excited for him that he finally gets to make it happen, hopefully in the next 10 days. So absolutely check it out. It's the official Dark and Darker podcaster
like
stream.
Devcast.
Exactly.
It's supposed to be a devcast.
Exactly.
If you've
I don't want to cut Ryan off, so Ryan, you explain what it is.
If you've seen a if you see the developer podcast before, it's pretty much the same idea.
I never watched one, but I've seen them a bunch.
Yeah. So it's just a way for us to, we can sit down and talk to like SDF and Terry and be like, hey, what's going on with these things? Let's get some more context, because when the Q&As happen on the Discord, SDF does his best to answer the questions he can, but he's the first person to admit that there's a lot lost in translation. And it's also just difficult to get to all of the questions and give, interesting answers or actually like give like a well thought out, well fleshed out answer. So this is more of like an official way for us to go, okay, for example, we will talk about the random dungeon. We might even have a little bit of a preview to show off of like gameplay in the randomized dungeon. I'll be the first to tell you that it's amazing. It feels so fun. It seems like such a minor thing, but the experience of walking from one module connecting to another module in a way that never existed before was like, oh my God, this is so good. So yeah, it's just a way for us to get into the nitty gritty of, what we're developing, what's coming with updates, and just to give the community like a more direct approach at answering questions instead of having it be a typical Q&A fashion. So the reason I brought this up before we get into this is that now I want to give the player context of like, here's our take from players who play this game literally all the time. Seb, you're approaching like 7K hours now, right? Like some obscene number that I can't even.
Like that,
yeah. So like we play this game a lot and we have our own opinions on how things should go. But when we actually get to the Tavern Table, we'll be talking more about the like actual official standard for things. And Seb actually came up with the name for Tavern Table. Thank God, because we literally for like 3 months we were just like, should we call it Tavern Talk? Because Diablo calls theirs Campfire Chat, so it's CC. So Tavern Talk.
And then he was just like, why don't you just call it Tavern Table?
Yeah, like literally just like, oh, sweet. Yeah, perfect name. Because the thing is, I think, so I'm sure everybody in here is watching PoE2 content because we're all excited for it. Even over here at Ironmace, we're excited about PoE2. They started a Darth microtransaction, and like one or two other people from the community started a podcast called Tavern Talk. So it would have been terrible timing for us to go live with the name Tavern Talk. So I'm glad we got a Tavern Table.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. This is something that I feel is important for marketing a game. Content marketing is super important. It's something that we're trying to slowly teach SDF and get him to understand. He's getting it. Like I said, this guy, like I've said many times before in previous episodes, this guy is an engineer. He's got engineer brain, and we're slowly teaching him the importance of marketing and how powerful it can actually be. And content marketing is
just from
huge.
Like a human level of SDF himself. Like I got to spend a lot of time with him, and but even whenever we were doing the Q&A, basically he was telling me, I'm a machine. I know how to go forward, and I know how to work, but sometimes I don't know how to talk to people. And so like literally, he's trying his best. And one of the things that he recognizes, which is what he like talked to me directly about, was I love people that play Dark and Dark. He loves his audience, he loves you guys, he loves the community. And sometimes, like this is his goal. And he's like, I want to get here. And he tells you guys we're going here, but he doesn't explain all of the stuff that it takes and the reasoning and whatnot that it takes to get to that point. And one of the things that we're going to try going forward, obviously, big underline on the try part, but going forward, we would love to explain the process a little more and give people, real reasons as to why we're doing these things and sort of better insight. Because if we just make a change and you guys don't understand it, then naturally people are going to be pissed because you're like, why are you guys doing this? We don't understand.
Or if something gets scrapped.
Yeah, or if something gets scrapped. And there are reasons for these things. It's not like they're just done out of randomness. And I really do have a lot of excitement because I know what's coming up, and things will definitely get better. And SDF is trying his best. I mean, dude, I was in the office with him till like 1 a.m. working on the Q&A, and like he cares. He really does care. He stays there. We were there like 3 nights in a row till 1 or 2 a.m. working, and I have an insane admiration and respect for him.
So Seb,
yeah,
I know that you've played Sorcerer. And we're just going to barely touch on this because we got to be careful, of course.
Dude, my mouth is zipped. I can't say anything. So
you can't say anything. Just give us a little taste. How is it? Does it feel unique? Is it fun?
I would just
what are
say
you thinking?
this. I would just say this. As a Wizard player, as somebody who has probably like 3,000 hours on Wizard, playing Sorcerer, I have to say, felt like at the unpolished state, because it's still very early, but dude, that was like an 8 or a 9 out of 10. That's all I'll say.
Unpolished, not even done yet.
Very
there you
cool.
go.
The way that, from what I've seen, and also can't talk about, I haven't actually played it, but from what I've seen, it feels like I don't want to say direct upgrade to Wizard because that's not the right way to describe it, but it's like it's a realization. It's a realization. Well, the thing is, there will be updates to Wizard too, so it's not like Wizard.
Wait, before you say it, just let me guess. It's got everything the Wizard doesn't have, huh?
Well, listen, I think
Odin's face.
What does that mean? Because that could mean a lot of things. It does not have plate armor for starters, as far as I know, anyway.
Warlock. To me, it's almost like they took every complaint about every class previously and just like amalgamized it into a new class.
I will say this: after playing Sorcerer, I don't feel like it's going to replace Wizard. I think it's just going to be another option.
All right, that's fair enough.
And that we'll cut it at that. We don't have to say that much more. I don't want anyone getting in trouble.
We can look at
like CCs, talking AOE's. Like you said, taste.
Can't tell you.
We can't talk about
anything.
that.
I can just tell you that in my opinion, like
Tavern Table.
Tavern Table. Wink, wink. There you go.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So thank you for just painting a small little picture. Good try, Jay. Good try. You're not the company man here. We all are. 3v1.
Hey, you need to hold me back. If I'm, you gotta.
No, you're good. Don't worry. No more. No more.
I'm used to this stuff. I'm not PR trained.
Got his feet.
Odin, thanks for bringing up the podcast.
I just wanted to give some context for why, because I know people are going to be like, three Ironmace guys are on the podcast. Why aren't they talking in more detail about this stuff? This is why. It's because we're going to talk about this from the player perspective, and I would love to give my own opinion on these things. But when we actually go into the nitty gritty, it'll be done on Tavern Table. Yeah. And the plan is to try to talk about Sorcerer on there and also try to show it. But that stuff is all up in the air. It's very fluid.
Beautiful. Okay, let's get back to the Q&A that One Peg did on the first with Terry and SDF. We were talking about the continuous dungeon. Seb, Odin, give us your thoughts from a player perspective on the continuous dungeon, no more map rotation, fog of war. I know you kind of alluded to it, that it felt really fresh, and I know you can't spoil anything, but is there anything you want to say about it before we ask Jay his opinion on it, as someone who hasn't experienced it yet?
I'll let Ryan go first.
No, Seb, continue, because I cut you off. You were already starting to talk about it.
All right, I guess I can go. But so there's a lot of complications that come with continuous dungeon. We would be stupid if we didn't recognize that, okay, what are we going to do with the loot, right? Like somebody loots and then what? You're just not going to be able to loot if you go in the dungeon. That's a disadvantage. Like what happens if you get put in a raid where there's people like right in front of you? There's a lot of things that go into making continuous dungeon. But I feel like the pros far outweigh the cons. And not only that, but we're going to try and do this in a very intelligent way where we think about those things. And, we also listen to the community, right? Like after we mentioned continuous dungeon, a lot of people were like, oh, so what? Am I just going to like spawn in and somebody can just be like spawn camping me? And we'll think about ways to avoid that. But the idea of continuous dungeon is it's going to make things a lot more natural. And it's going to take away so many of the queues and so many of the different like splitting of matchmaking to where the game itself is a lot more natural. And I think that's what we really, really want to get to. So it's very early stages and I don't even, I don't know what I can talk about or can't talk about. So I'm just going to keep my mouth shut to not make a mistake. But personally, as a player, like I am a hardcore player. I play all the time. I've never stopped playing and I love the game. I think it's going to be a good thing. And that's all I can say.
Wonderful. Odin, anything?
Yeah, I haven't seen really anything about how the continuous dungeon is going to work. I have a lot of the same concerns that other people in the community do. Like, how's it going to work with mobs? How's it going to work with quests? Am I going to load into a dungeon with a bunch of empty chests and waste 10 minutes of my time? Is it going to create a lot of toxic, like, people camping extracts because they're automatically open and just leaving as soon as the fight goes the wrong way?
Right.
These are definitely things that I think about, that I'm worried about.
Yeah, same here.
I think there are solutions to most of those problems, but I don't know necessarily what they are. I think, like, you could make the extracts something that you have to interact with every time in order to leave, and I honestly think that's better. One thing that I can't stand about the red gates being open is that as soon as those are open, whenever fights happen towards the end of ruins and crypts, it always ends up being like you just kind of get cucked by somebody running down red gate. As soon as a fight goes wrong, people will just leave.
Yeah.
And the removal of the storm is something I think is a net positive for the game, but it does have those problems of, like, you can just So, like, in some ways it's good because it's more friendly for newer players, and the hope, I think, with a lot of these systems is to make this system less frustrating from a spawn rush and third party perspective, but also more enjoyable for newer players who, like, just don't want to engage with PvP yet because they're just not confident. Making the map more dynamic for them and giving them more opportunities to avoid the Giga Chads is always a good way to make that experience better for them. So I think it's, on paper, it's really good. The random dungeon part, I play tested it in the QA build on our internal servers, and it's like I said before, just going from one module that never connected to another module in a new way, and then seeing that from a completely different angle that I never saw it from before, I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. I need this right now. I could literally just take everything else out and just give me randomized crypts, and I'll just play that forever. It's so fun. But yeah, it has the potential to really be amazing and, like, that was the whole point of the module system in the first place, is designing these static size rooms that could be interlocked with each other. That was always supposed to be the design of the first place.
Just having modulated rooms that can be swapped in and out between each other.
So yeah, I think it will be a huge net positive for the game. It's just going about designing the continuous part of it that's the challenge that I'm not envious of being a developer on that part.
Right. Yeah, I think, like, the way that SDF says it, because also he's got a weird English, but basically the way that he says it is he wants to make the game less artificial. Like, right now the game is too artificial between all of the queues that we have and all of the, like, different artificial barriers that we put in place. And his real vision is to have something that's more natural and less artificial, which I think is good.
Map rotation, stuff like that, getting rid of stuff like that.
Stuff like that is systems in a game that are, it's like, it is artificial. It's barriers that are put in place that in a naturally flowing game shouldn't be there.
Yeah. Jay, what do you think about continuous dungeons? Is this gonna reinvigorate the fire, the dad fire inside of you? What do you think?
I'll be honest, the continuous dungeon's kind of whatever. I just want the randomized dungeons. I don't know. Just the obvious. What happens to bosses? What happens to my quest when I gotta kill centaurs and in 5 minutes every centaur's dead?
We're thinking about that.
And I got in at 6 minutes. Let me figure that one.
Yeah, we definitely have that on. Yeah, like we will think of stuff for that.
I also think about like the one thing that I think is going to be the hardest problem to solve is because this, I mean, it's because it's such a huge shift with the randomized map. It is going to really change the dynamic and the feel of the game, especially with Fog of War not revealing where everything is. It's like the game feels very formulaic right now, and that's where I think some of that artificial feeling comes in, because where everybody spawns. The spawns are all fixed. The rotations, and we had the same problem last season, and I remember Jay and Ken talking about this to great lengths, how frustrating it was that, like, HR crypts, the fights were always happening in the same place. It was always the same kind of third party because everybody knew the rotations, and there was always this, like, storage going towards mini library or grave and, like, all these areas where there was always the PvP, all the PvP would always happen. Because it became really predictable and formulaic, we sort of, like, just kind of grew accustomed to it, and balance was built around that and designed around the game existing in that state. Building a continuous dungeon where you're not guaranteed to have the same number of players in a continuous like progression downward is going to just completely change that and like demand system changes across the board, even the class updates. But like I said before, I think Crypts being randomized is going to be amazing, but I'm not jealous of the devs who have to figure out this continuous dungeon stuff, because I think it's going to be a huge challenge.
Agreed. I think one of the best features is Fog of War too. That air of mystery is fucking needed. It really is. Okay, so point number 2. Go for it,
I
please.
will say,
please.
That the fighting in the same modules over and over on Crypts, that wasn't only because of that. It was also because half of Crypts is like borderline.
I mean,
unplayable.
we know
You
know
know,
the
those
like
rooms
as
are
a
terrible.
yeah,
that's
from
true.
a balance
them,
perspective, I literally have
So,
one of the people that I talk to, because I don't just balance off of like my opinion. I do get a lot of opinions from other players as well, and kind of like put it together. And so one of the players on EU is really really knowledgeable about maps, and he drew basically like a heat map of, okay, these rooms are rooms that everybody avoids because they're essentially just aids to fight in. Like nobody wants to fight in
terrible.
them, and that's just in
Does
all
the
of
room
the,
have a spider pod in it? Yes, we're not fighting in it.
Yeah.
this
and
is like. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
oh no, it was just basically that the maps that we have right now are just heavily left-sided because all of the straight walkways with low density mobs are there, and all of the open rooms that are not hard to fight in are all on the left side of the map, and so everybody just goes there. But if you don't know what rooms are on the map, then you'll take a little more time to navigate, and the experience is going to be more of a dungeon crawler and less of a battle royale of like, okay, fight into third party, into fourth party, into fifth party, into like the rat barbarians that are waiting behind the door. The idea is for a lot more natural gameplay.
Beautiful. Point number 2 is arena. The arena needs polishing, but it's 80% to where they want it. More maps, better MMR, and ranking systems. STF was considering a 1v1, 2v2, and 3v3 arena bracket. I like that. I think it's fine. Give people the options. What I'm kind of worried about is the more maps. I hope it's not just modules that we're used to. I want to see custom made arena maps that are not in the base game to give people a little bit more. Go for it.
If we don't get a grand arena 1-to-1 copy from WoW, I legitimately will change my review. I'm not.
Well, SDF is a WoW fan. So.
It's a circle and
4 pillars.
As an arena.
Yeah.
It's like arena design 101.
Yeah. Give us Blade's Edge, dude. I'll take Dalaran Sewers too. I don't even like that map, but it would probably be kind of sick and dark and darker.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, SDF's a WoW player,
those are
so
good designs.
You can probably try and run it by him.
There you go.
Yep.
There you go.
I mean,
does arena being at 80%, Jay, you spent a lot of time in the arena. When you hear it's 80% where they want, do you agree that it feels like it's in a good spot? Like, is it alarming to you that it's 80% done at its current state? Does it make sense to you? What are your thoughts?
Cool.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. It's cool. They gotta take the fucking centaurs and stuff out, but
Yeah, I agree. Okay, fair enough.
they went full circle on the mobs, but I think it just depends. Like if they want, I've been saying it, but if they want arena to be some like display of skill, that's the sole purpose, then having mobs in there and RNG as a variable is not skill based. That is
not only mobs in RNG,
a third factor. Right.
How are you supposed to win as a buff ball against double wizard ranger down like a corridor where they just pelt you like in 3 seconds? You're dead if you push, and if you stay still, there's no room to kite back into. There's just so much that we need to balance around arena for it to actually be a show of skill.
I'm gonna
hot take. There's nothing wrong with that.
Take
some maps you suck on, some maps are good on. It's just how it goes.
Yeah, I agree. But also on that side, we need to balance that then, because there's some
that
like
is RNG,
there is a majority.
Yeah.
There is a majority of ranged, balanced maps on that, and there's like maybe like Foursquare and another, maybe one other are actually good for fighting as a melee, and then the others are just. It does
seem like rangers are crazy in arena.
Yeah.
I haven't played like a ton. Don't get me wrong, but it seems like they just hop in, they 2-tap a guy. That's what you need in arena.
So I'm on the complete opposite end of this. I hate mobs. I mean, I guess I'm not really on the opposite end of this, but what I mean is mobs have no place in arena, so I'm right there with you, Jay. It should just be PvP. There is a dungeon where there are mobs. That's the point of the dungeon. Don't put it in the arena. There's just no reason for it to be there. the modules are really hit or miss. I think some modules are really just well designed for fighting, and some modules just suck, and it's kind of like that in the dungeon.
Yep.
There's like several modules that we aren't currently utilizing that I think would be amazing for arena. For example, the loot room that is at the bottom of ruins after you kill both bosses is like the best PvP map in the entire game, hands down. It's just perfect. Everything about it is so good, and it's not in the arena. It frustrates me, but I talked to our map guy about that while I was in Korea, and there's a possibility that we might get it. No promises.
Yeah, that room is awesome, and it's never used.
Yeah. So, like, we shouldn't allow class stacking. I've heard some people say, like, okay, like I know the argument against disabling class stacking is if you have people that play together frequently that both play the same class, now they have one of them has to switch. Yeah, okay, get over it. The problem when you have class stacking is you end up with these really just obnoxious comps like double ranger wizard or double wizard ranger.
Yeah,
and it frustrates the point when everything is happening in a single module. So because the arena is designed around only playing in a 1x1, you don't really have the same dynamicism that you would if you're playing across a dungeon. You can't retreat to another module because there are no other modules. So it's the way certain classes want to play and utilize their tricks or rotate. It's just all thrown out the window, and it's completely down to what happens in the room. And when you allow class stacking, you have problems where you have like triple warlock or double wizard ranger, just any classes that can output a shit ton of damage or burst.
Yeah, or like triple fighter or triple barbarian. Or, like all of those are just if you're not on the right comp, it just sucks.
Right.
Because they can just, like the way we balance our classes is in the dungeon, and so that takes a lot of things into account. It takes, in arena it's a 1x1, so you don't have doors to play on, you don't have space to kite, or well you do, but you don't have like rooms to kite out of and be able to reset. So it's you're basically forced to fight, and some comps work in the dungeon because you're not forced to fight. You play off of playing your advantages, playing your doors, holding an advantageous position, whereas in arena you're just supposed to run at each other. And whenever you have a composition that basically totally capitalizes on somebody running at you, and you have a comp where your only option is being able to run at them, or even, for example, random queuing. Like random queuing is horrible, because imagine you random queue and you get 3 melees and you're against a comp that is triple range. You can't catch them. It's impossible, especially with like ranger backstep, and like spear literally is a better melee weapon in ranger's hands than in barbarian, or at sometimes fighter, or even bard. And so it's a lot of stuff needs to go into how we balance that. And adding on top of all of the arena balance, having the aspect of triple class stacking and being able to really abuse certain things, it really does make it a lot harder to properly balance those classes.
Well said. Okay. Thank you for that, sir.
Oh wait,
go ahead.
Since you mentioned Buffball, I think a lot of people find Buffball really frustrating. I think it's good for Buffball to exist. It needs to have a cap, but I think Buffball needs to exist. You need to have comps that are built around just rushing, like, because otherwise the game will eventually just kind of boil down to stalemates forever. And I think as much as it's fun to hate on Buffball and how stupid and brain dead it is to play, it's healthy for the game.
I mean, that was a while ago, though. Now it's just another comp.
Yeah, true.
We're all on a hating Bard Wizard Cleric because that's just cringe, right?
Well, remember when we used to hate Bard Wizard Cleric because of clarity and Corral of Clarity? God, that shit sucked.
Yeah.
I got old tranquility and clarity where you could be standing and be getting the benefits. Oh yeah, that was fun.
I remember those days. So point number 3 on the Q&A was the new map, Waterworld. It involves a new swimming mechanic. This mechanic will work in other dungeons as well. It's not going to be ready at Wipe though, which is unfortunate. Are you guys? I mean, obviously we're all excited about a new map, but are you guys excited to go swimming and eventually fishing in the dungeon?
I hate swimming every game.
I hate swimming in every game too. What?
5 seconds, I gotta derail because there's 3 company men in this call. Honestly, uninstalled the game a long time ago. Didn't know they added arena. Where are you at, marketing? I just figured.
All right.
But, hey, I'm
All right.
not in the marketing department.
I'll tell you
know.
exactly where we're at. Marketing is allowed to market the game when SDF says we can.
Oh.
And SDF is saying that we can't right now. And
well, just say that.
That's the truth. That's the truth. That's the truth.
He won't remember.
I wish that I could. I wish that I could have been. We're getting there. It's been a very, very slow process teaching SDF about marketing, because SDF does not like to make decisions.
Dad said no.
He does not like to make decisions.
When in doubt, blame SDF.
He does not.
Exactly.
Well, he does not like to make decisions unless he completely understands something. And as an engineer, coder, game designer, he doesn't know shit about marketing. He's freely admitted that many times. He's admitted it on podcasts and in Q&As and interviews. He just doesn't understand it. So he has to understand it first.
Yeah,
so I'm trying
it down to him in like C++ or something.
Yes, it's kind of in a way. So I have been.
I think he also just doesn't have time to really like do a deep dive into like what you guys do. He's so busy. Like that's the thing. Being in Korea and being next to him, you realize how much this guy actually works.
Wait, this guy's onto something. Why not hire someone who does marketing? This guy's onto something. Wait a minute.
Yeah, I know. Anyway,
we're getting there.
I know,
and that's why I'm very excited about Tavern Table. Make sure you guys check it out next Friday, 12/13.
It's been a slow process, but look, there is stuff that I've wanted to do since May, and I just had to be patient and teach SDF what marketing is all about, the true power of marketing. He's finally allowing us to take the leash off a bit very, very soon. I can't talk about it. I promise the fruits of our labor, the stuff Odin and I and Lego Time Bomb have been working on, it's finally going to see its day in the sun soon. And I'm very excited for it. I cannot wait to prove to SDF how awesome marketing can be and why marketing and advertising is essentially $1 trillion business globally, and why every single game studio and film studio and any company, probably, and any company utilizes marketing so much because it is important. And I understand that he's an engineer and a coder and a game designer doesn't get it. And I understand that it takes time to teach someone something. And finally, very, very soon, we're going to be able to market the game. I can't wait. Nice. So that's all I can really say about it. But anyway, obviously,
I was trying to cook y'all. I just thought it was
no,
funny.
Honestly, it's okay. People, I also would be wondering why the head of marketing has not pushed out anything. Like when it comes to Twitch drops, it comes to paid media, which is like an ad banner somewhere, a 5-second pre-roll over a YouTube video, or all that stuff. It is SDF's decision at the company. That's his right as the person that owns the company and leads the company. So whenever I give him advice on something, or I suggest something, or I think we should do it at this date period, or we should try something like this, or spend money on this, it is completely up to him. So, and that's his right. So I've had to be patient, and I'm finally going to be able to do some stuff I wanted to do. And it's really
important to also remember that the company was 14 or 15 months ago. The company was working out of what was basically a jiu-jitsu gym, and was like 14 people, and now it has 100 people, which, about 60 of those are actually on the dev team and working on the game itself, and the rest of them are tertiary roles. Business management, marketing, a bunch of other stuff. So in SDF's defense, going from managing a handful of people to an actual full company and having to learn the ins and outs of running all of this stuff, and then also have the trust to relinquish control to people that don't even live in the same country as you, it is a big ask. So like, I get why it's been a slow process, but we are making strides, and we will see like you said, we will see the fruits of the labor not too long from now.
Yep. Patience, guys. Have just a little bit of patience, more than I've had, and you guys will be fun. What were we gonna say, Jay?
I said fruit. He kept saying fruits of our labor. So
this man just dabbed and he's hungry. I get it. Nature's candy after a fresh dab. Can't beat it. Okay, so let's move on. We're all excited about the map. I don't really like swimming in a video game. we'll see what the map's like. It's not even going to be available at Wipe. I think it's unanimous that we're excited for a new map, right? I don't think we have much else to say.
You can go wrong, really.
Of course, yeah. I'm just having flashbacks and PTSD thinking about the Water Temple in Ocarina of Time as a kid and how much I hated that part of the game and how much I hated any water levels, including like in Super Mario or anything like that. I always hated swimming in water levels. So I hope that Ironmace comes out swinging and they deliver a water map that is, you know, really unique and fun. And I think that they have the opportunity to do that based on what I've seen and what I've heard. Based on concept images and shit, it's fucking really cool. But let's see how it actually plays, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so point number 4 was the new class Sorcerer. It's available day 1 of the December 18th wipe. It's based around casting spells that have individual cooldowns, and a new character slot will be added for everyone, Legendary Edition, so you can make a Sorcerer. Essentially, so you can have one of every class. So the biggest thing is Sorcerers based around casting spells that have individual cooldowns. My fear is that this is really going to piss off clerics and wizards, because hitting the G key and sitting there waiting for your spells to come back, we've talked about this before, it's not really great game design. It's boring and it kind of sucks. And I really
like
think
hopping in my O2 Civic in the driveway when your neighbor's got a Lambo.
There you go. Yeah, and I feel like something needs to be done for cleric, because damn, they're really, I mean, having to fucking light campfires all the time sucks. And I also think that when you hit the G key as a wizard, you should just have an innate meditation. You should. I'm sorry, but you should have it, because some classes have unique features, like the Warlock outright just uses health. They already have class traits in a way. Why not?
Dude, trust me, I'm a wizard player.
Yeah, why not hook the wizard up? Give them innate meditation. I don't know. I really think it's important, especially once people get used to the Sorcerer and it just has cooldowns and you can just keep continuously kiting.
100% uptime.
100% uptime. You never have to stop moving.
Yeah, dude, I can't wait to send like 13 fireballs down a hallway. That's gonna be
it's
fun.
It's the same as it's the same as Warlock has 100% uptime. And if you are an Immortal Lament Chad and you don't care about living on the Razor's Edge, you can cast while you have 1 HP and get your Hydra down. It legitimately has no downtime.
Yep.
So like I know the gut reaction to people to hearing cooldown based spell casting is people are like, or giving other classes less downtime. And I saw it in chat immediately was, bro, wizard and cleric are already OP. Yes, but that doesn't mean we can't balance them around them having no downtime. I think the problems with those classes can be addressed while also trying to do away with some archaic mechanics that just aren't fun to interact with.
Yes.
But,
and this is a hot take. I actually don't think that Wizard is as OP as people think. Like, I think definitely Wizard's a lot more balanced than it's ever been.
It's OP as really good arena, but it's
exactly,
I agree with you.
That. You don't have to, like, that's the main issue. And I think a lot of people see Wizard in arena.
They don't have downtime in arena.
Right.
Exactly. And that's the one thing. It's like, dude, in the dungeon, Wizards got to sit down for like 1 minute after every fight to get their spells back. So definitely not as easy as, I mean, Wizard used to be the highest skill cap class in the game, and we overbuffed it, and then it was like everybody was playing Wizard and the bonk build because it's just so easy and broken. But I preferred when Wizard was a like skill class that you had to actually put a lot of effort into to win. But it was still possible. Like right now, dude, when I played Wizard in the actual dungeon, I can remember hitting like a barbarian with, and I know there's supposed to be the natural counter, but the damage is just so underwhelming. Like I swear I ran out of spells before I had enough time to actually like kill the dude.
It's just, no, you don't want to hit a guy 10 times to get one tapped. Right. In any game ever, it's never going to feel good.
Dude, one tap's just straight up. Wait, one tap's just like straight up shouldn't exist, in my opinion.
I agree.
Shout out Ken, who indoctrinated me to the world of Darkfall. They have like a limit for how much damage you can take in a single hit, and I think that's a perfect mechanic to add. Even if it's literally 99% of your health, as long as you can't get one tapped, just some way to stop you from dying in one hit would be really nice because it
I
just
mean, one taps are rare though.
What Ken's right though. It and you're right as well. 99% max. If you get hit by a ranger with crossbow mastery and all of his shit turned on, and he hits you with a windlass to the head, and you're a Timmy wizard or whatever trying to learn the game, you're dead. You're dead in one hit.
I don't know about you guys, but if it was me, if I get one tapped by the first bolt out of the crossbow, or I get 99%ed, to me it is the same outcome. I am hitting escape and exiting to lobby. I don't know. I'm just being dead serious.
It's the same shit, dude. It's the same shit with
results.
Yeah,
Really.
and it's the same thing with like missiles, for example, on Wizard, or like Bardiche on Barbarian from Invid. Like all of those things are just dumb because like you should not win off of just going to some guy and then he dies instantly. Like, oh,
you don't like stat checking people with your hand lasers?
Hey,
No,
you
I
hit like 5 of those. Okay.
Yo,
Back in my day, we had 5 missiles. We didn't start with gloves, and we had a shitty gray staff.
Like
you hit 5 of these.
You can't feel
That's not
good.
like
You
one
can't, in
kill.
all honesty, you cannot, in all honesty, admit that pulling out your missiles and one tapping a fighter with one like barrage of missiles while he just goes like with his longsword once is fun. That's just
Yeah, because
BS.
he would have one-tapped me with the longsword. How is it not the same thing? It's 2 sides of the same coin.
No, that's the thing. It takes
It's
like
2
4
sides.
hits with the longswords to kill a wizard. That's the thing. Well,
No,
not
that is
like maybe 2 or
bullshit.
3.
That
Okay,
is
hold on.
bullshit.
It doesn't
I
take
see the
4
balance
hits to
team coming
kill.
out now, though.
It
I see
doesn't. It doesn't take 4 hits to kill the kind of wizard that Jay and Ken build. It takes 4 hits to kill
Okay,
an HP stacking ice shield wizard.
Okay, I mean the way that I play wizard is like Ice Shield, 40% PDR, 150 HP, and like 50% magic power with full true. And then you have a bard and a cleric behind you, and like what are they supposed to do? I
There
have
you go.
18 missiles and I win.
Yo, fuck true damage. It should
Forgot
be
the
removed
Bardic
out of the
Cleric in
game.
beginning.
Get
Well, I
rid
think
of
you're going
true
a little
damage.
farther. I like it. I mean,
No, true damage sucks. Get rid of it.
Why?
It just, I don't know. I just think it's a
What?
cheap stat. I think it's just as bad as +1 all, +2 all. I think
It
it
doesn't
I
scale.
think armor pen and magic pen should be more
more of a
available.
thing. Yes.
More
I agree.
more available.
Yeah.
I think there's some extreme cases like Rogue gets way too much armor pen. You can be like, I was watching the lore built like a 30k kit on his last video where he actually had 75% PDR and he was still like almost getting killed by a rogue in like half his gear because the rogue just has so much armor pen. I think that's a little extreme. You know, if you're going to build so intensely into PDR where you're like not even hitting move speed cap with sprint, then at that point you should be rewarded for it. But I think, yeah, true damage is a weird stat because it's always the best stat to have, like unless you're a barbarian basically, but even then it's still really good. So I just get rid of it and add armor pen and magic pen and make those more valuable stats.
I mean, listen, man, I've been playing since the early playtest, and this is probably controversial or a hot take, but I kind of, and obviously I don't bring this into balanced discussion. This is just my personal opinion, but I loved like having all of the weapon damage and all of the PDR and stuff. I liked having stats. I liked all attributes. Obviously, not like 50 all attributes that you used to be able to get, or however much it was, but
it was like 30 or something.
I thought the game was really fun when like you could just get it on your cloak, for example, or you know, obviously I don't like stat checking, and I think it wears off very easily. But I liked having lots of stats to choose from.
I
agree that plus all is bad for the game overall, but I kind of miss it.
Why not have
I
just
miss plus all.
Why not just have
Seems
like an artifact ring like the Stone of Jordan from Diablo 2 or something that gives you +3 all or something like that? Like make it make it an exciting item to find.
1 million gold item though.
So that's up to players to figure out on the economy.
I mean, I'm not even saying that we go that radical.
You know,
I just think
who's buying that? It means is the economy's broken. It's up to players to fix that shit.
Well, yeah, that's a
but
problem
like
though, because
that's the game already. That's the problem.
like, dude,
It's one of the problems. You know?
Yeah.
You've got the whales from
Pretty
certain
fair.
regions.
You guys know my
well.
thoughts on the marketplace and trading. I think everything should be self-found. You just trade with you toss stuff down to a buddy in the match. I don't think there should be a marketplace at all. I don't think there should be trading. I don't think it fucks up the game. But that's
I don't know.
I've talked
trading.
about it
I think it's
1,000
good.
times in the past. We don't have to talk about it again.
Yeah, I'm kind of over that. I just don't even care anymore. I think like it would be cool to have an SSF league or like even a temporary SSF thing. But I've just become accustomed to it. I think there are better ways to handle the market than just taking it out entirely. You could restrict what can be traded on the market so that you can, I've said this probably about 1,000 times. I really wish golden keys and skull keys were bind on pickup and you could only use them on your account. But like
I
make
agree.
the average rewards from both of those things like always good. I was watching actually another war video where he did the mystic gems and he ran like 3 mystic gems with max luck and got absolute shit from them. And it's like he could have sold those each for 5k or something like that, and because they just have like that value as an item to fill space. But the fact that they drop all the time and they literally never get used, it takes some of the fun out of the game, because you don't go and have those fights over the golden key doors anymore. You don't get the excitement of potential artifact from skull key door.
Yeah,
it
not
brings the
only that, but
question,
it's
why
just
does it even exist?
yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna say. Basically, I mean, a lot of the stuff is. I feel like there's a lot of stuff that needs to be changed underlying, a lot of the basic mechanics of the game and sort of the goals of the game. And I think we're gonna definitely look at that. I think it's toxic the way that it is right now, because it just makes it's like you have the people that are flipping on the marketplace that are just abusing it and making a ton of money, and then the people that are it fuels RMT, and you know uh, it it's very difficult. But I think if we solve that, it's going to make the game a lot more fluid and feel a lot better. And gold storage as well is pretty annoying right now. Like, as somebody who, like, in my stash, I think I've gotten up to like tens of millions of gold and wealth. I have to, if I actually wanted to hold that much gold, I would need like more stash tabs than I can even physically buy, filled with chests. And it should be nice to be able to get to those points of wealth without having to literally like cut your liver out and sell it in the black market to be able to afford it. Like, to hold that money.
That's a problem
I
that I
think-
think is solved by things that we want to add down the line. But it begs the question of, I think with many of the choices that get made in development, it's the cost benefit analysis of how much dev time would it take to do X to solve this problem, when there is another solution that's intended, but it's going to be down the line. Like, for example, housing is supposed to be something for people to sink a ton of gold into. We've talked about like ideas before, nothing that I know of that's been like set in stone, but like having mobs drop like plans very rarely, or materials that let you craft like cool unique furniture. You get 500k gold, nothing to spend it on that you care about running in the dungeon, but there's a pattern for this really cool throne that you could put in your house that some noob picked up, and you want to spend 500k on it. Super rare. Here you go, you got something to spend the gold on. But it still doesn't really solve the gold storage problem. However, if we have housing, maybe you can just put your gold in a physical storage in the house. Who knows? It's one of those things where it's like, we can fix the problem in the short term. Is it worth fixing it in the short term, or waiting for the long-term solution? Is the development time to do that beneficial, or do we just wait? It's a tough cookie to crack.
All right. So the next point in the Q&A was socketing. It's available day 1 of the wipe, December 18th. You can overwrite random modifiers that were rolled on gear. You use rarity gems as the socket item. For example, a rare ruby into a socket might be +2 agility, for instance. Will likely be a static amount per rarity rather than a range, such as +2 to 4 agility, whatever. A secondary market created around gems to help achieve BIS faster and create your own statted gear. Boys, let's start with Jay. What do you think about socketing? Because I know in the past you were worried, Jay. You said this was going to...
Again, it's just multi-classing with gear. That's really what it is.
I don't totally understand what you mean by that, because you're not getting perks.
Picking your own stats.
Okay, but it's not 1-to-1 multi-classing, because you're not getting perks and abilities that fundamentally break a class. It's just stats. So maybe it's multi-classing light, but I wouldn't equate it 1-to-1 to multi-classing.
It's the same like underlying problem, right? It's like,
I think the whole point of multi-classing is...
What?
Sorry,
if you're gonna pick
it's
your
like
own
totally
stats,
different.
Jay, go
If
ahead.
you're going to pick your own stats, are you not going to pick the most beneficial meta stats possible? Are you not going to squeeze every ounce of damage that you can out of picking your own stats?
Yeah, but I don't even think we really like. I don't know what the system is right now.
Yeah,
but
nobody
I'm pretty
knows,
sure we
so-
don't want to. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure we don't want to make it like that. I think the idea, so the outcome that we want is to make it easier for players that don't have all the time in their day to like grind 24/7 and like sit on the marketplace and buy like this items to be able to like kind of modify their gear a bit to still be able to compete and not give them like it's not meant for the min maxers. It's meant for helping people be able to choose some stats that are more beneficial than what they have on their gear without costing them an arm and a leg.
Yeah, I get that. And it's like multi-classing's like, hey, we want you to have all these options so you can have all the variety under the world. And 2 weeks go by, 90% of the player base is using the same stuff, right? So,
Well,
if it's like we're replacing roles with gems that you can now pick which role or you're going to put on your gear, essentially, right? Because who knows what it is? You guys know, I don't. But
Go ahead.
Yeah, that's going to boil down to getting the most possible damage and output. It's the same exact thing in WoW. In WoW, you have 50 gems, but what happens in raid and PvP environments? They pick the one stat
Of course.
that's the most important, and they max every gem slot.
Yeah, meta.
So, yeah, if you don't think
once
gonna
it's
happen
solved,
here, you're just
once
I'm
it's
sorry,
solved,
it's crazy.
everyone will follow suit. And I actually disagree with you, Seb. I think it is exactly for min maxers. I think that's exactly who's going to run away with this. I think that inherently
It just
socketing something with a certain
depends how we do
stat. It depends on how it's done. That's true. But inherently, just a socketing system where you get to choose certain things is a min maxer's haven. That's exactly what they want.
Yeah, but
yeah.
my like I don't actually know. I need to look into it, but from what I understood, I don't think it's targeted for that. But just like off the top of my head, if we made socketing, I'm not saying this is how it is or confirming it. I don't know myself, but I'm just saying from a balance perspective, if we made it so socketing gets you like 90% of what you can get on random rolled gear. So if I get like a random, if I get a piece from the dungeon that is like full bis, I can get like 100% of that bis item, and then with sockets I can only get to like 85 or 90% of what that is. So the random piece will always have like it will always be better than that. But I get what you mean, as in like
yeah, sure. The next
I
question
would
is,
rather
when's the
be
last
able to
time you ran
100%.
a 3-3-3 item. You know what I mean? That's the next.
Yeah, I mean,
question that
apart from
follows,
arena,
yeah.
like whenever I ran my famine kit at the beginning of wipe and got killed by like some triple range comp, that I did forever.
Ouch.
so
Yeah.
since we
These are just
brought up the
concerns.
Yeah,
Until we
it's-
know. This is why we need the tavern table, by the way,
Right.
so you guys can dive
Yes.
into this kind of shit.
Yes.
So we
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
At least an
Exact-
idea is all.
exactly what I was about to bring up. So like patch 69, there was some context given in the last Q&A that the Discord Q&A that SDF gave. We talked a little bit about how this was supposed to be like a baseline. To add on to that just a little bit, to clarify, because he did clarify a little bit, but some people may have missed it. The whole point of patch 69 and bringing everything into this like really like flat line where items were like 40% difference at the absolute max values was to try to eliminate the huge differences in gear that cause class balance to just feel completely out of whack at different levels, and to give them a way to actually look at classes in a vacuum. Because, for example, Torture Mastered Warlock feels insane, unstoppable, disgusting, untouchable when they have shit tons of move speed, tons of health, and magic healing and damage. But when they're not very well kitted, and before we made changes to like their health ratios, they were terrible. Torture Mastered was worthless. Which
Scaling's crazy. Yeah.
Right. So the context for patch 69 was to look at classes in more of a vacuum where there was a smaller scaling window so that we could understand what makes them better, because a while back SCF talked about a patch where we were supposed to do subclass, or not subclassing, but like give classes more perks and abilities and more things to build with their class. We can't do that without having a good baseline. So the socket system, I think, is another way for us to predictably decide what gear balance is going to feel like by making it more accessible while still providing chase items. So then we can take a look at what the like class balance and design is going to look like, and adding more perks, adding more skills, giving more ways for classes to build. That's the way I look at it. Again, I don't know what the full socket system is going to look like yet. And that's something that we'll have more information on when we get to the Tavern Table, but just trying to give more context for this stuff.
Yeah.
I'll say one thing. Patch 69, that's the one where they fucked it all up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a fan of that patch. I think you guys half-dicked it, and Ironmace should have full-dicked it. I'll say it. I think you guys
I liked 69-1, dude.
Path with the whole ranges being like 1 to 2 on jewelry and shit like that, right? Like that was the right idea. Having everything be 5, brain dead. I don't even know who thought of that, but having like narrowing the range. Ultimately, what you wanted to do was not make gear be the 99% factor in fights and shit, right? So all you were doing was squishing the ranges, except you squish. Well, not you guys, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You know, it's like whoever did that system, you know, they were starting to think of it. They did like half the items, and they're like, you know what, fuck it. I'm just gonna go back to the easy part. And then they went back, they got the backlash, and then they went back to the half developed field that they're already working on. If they had just hit it with like a 3 to 5 range on items, you know, and done that, I think that's been a much different patch.
That is the feedback that Seb and I give.
Yeah. And
I'm with you.
Yeah, it's just doing like a massive overhaul and then pussyfooting it is not it.
69,
because I like that patch, believe it or not.
Patch 69.1. Yeah, minus the 15 HP thing. I think it was something that people still are just not happy about.
Yeah.
But 69.1 was like, I feel like we were this close to getting it right. And if we just put the 15 HP back and then reduce the ranges a little bit, so it was 3 to 5, or make every item a hybrid stat item, because hybrid stat items end up intrinsically being better. Sure. Make every item a hybrid stat item, and then give it the gradual increase from common to unique rarity. I think we were right there, and I wish we had stuck with it. Maybe we will try it again, but at the same time, I don't mind gear right now. I think it's okay.
Yeah, but also I think we need to not do that stuff like mid wipe, because we did this like hotfix 15 and the other hotfixes. We kind of repeated the same mistake of, okay, I have my stash and I've got like 3 tabs worth of this gear, and I wake up tomorrow morning and it's all worthless. And people don't like that, because you're really discrediting people's time that they put into to a game. It doesn't matter if it's balanced or not. It's like people spend hours getting that stuff, and it's bad to take that away from them mid wipe when you're just taking away all their progress, and it sucks. It sucks for anybody.
Yep.
It's a good way to make a lot of people quit.
Yes, exactly.
Like or review bomb the game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we got one more little point here. A card game for Dad. This will have elements from Slay the Spire, Gwent from The Witcher. SDF is very excited about this and says it might be a long time coming, but he is determined to bring it into the game as something social to play inside of something like the Tavern. I think that's cool, that's fine, but man, I really hope that's really far in the future, and that it's not even cool. I almost think it was a mistake to even bring that up, because it just makes people scared that they're going to work on stuff that doesn't, quote, matter to the game.
Yeah,
I think he just got excited about an idea, and sometimes whenever he's on a Q&A or an interview, his juices start flowing, he gets excited, he starts yapping about stuff. I think he probably should have kept that in his pocket. It's all right though, as long as it's really, really, really late stage.
Yeah, and I mean on that one.
You what?
Yeah,
sorry, I was real quick. Number 1 was who asked, and number 2 is can you gamble? That was all.
You better be able to gamble. You better be able to gamble. Yeah.
Any Final Fantasy 8? Any Final Fantasy 8 fans in here? Does anybody remember Triple Triad? I want a best of 3 multi-hand triple triad for Dark and Darker, where you can get the cards dropped from monsters. That shit would be so fire. I would play that all day.
I think it'd be cool to find cards in the dungeon, but what I really want is not just wagering gold, but I want to take a fucking unique weapon or an artifact and slap that shit on the table and say, this next hand we're fighting for Death Bloom or whatever the fuck, and I see it on the table and we fucking get the cards dealt and we're wagering for an item. How sick would that be? I think that'd be amazing. That'd be really, really sick. But I also hope this is like 2 years away. Like, please don't spend any time on this until it's ready.
I think a lot of, and I'll give some insight onto this, because I've kind of understood this through talking to SDF quite a bit. I think a lot of this, like sometimes he'll just spitball ideas and stuff, and
Yeah.
it's very far on the back burner. And another thing that people need to understand is, although we have, you know, certain deadlines and stuff, and devs are working on certain things, not 100% of the dev team is going to work on that. Like if that thing was made, obviously
Right.
we still have like the map designers working on the maps. We have the you know, monster designers working on monsters, the people that are working on like new items and stuff working on that. So it's not like 100% of the attention is being focused on making a card game, so everything else is being put on hold. You know, it is a developer team, so people are working together to do different things, and it's not just going to be that sole focus.
Of course. Okay, so the final point in the Q&A was the ranked season will start a few weeks after the start of the wipe on December 18th. I think that's just normal fare at this point. It's never right away. People need a few weeks to get their sea legs under them before the season starts. But yeah, that's the Q&A. Thank you, One Peg, for hosting that, and thank you So Bad Strange for compiling this information on Reddit.
Awesome dudes.
Okay, so
so bad, but
so I got one more question before we switch it over to Q&A. We're already almost 90 minutes in. Shit.
You brought the two biggest yappers on the stream. What did you expect?
And this is where I really want you guys to yap. Go ape shit. I want to know if you had the keys of the castle, STF god powers for a day, and you could balance the game how you wanted.
Or add or remove anything.
Add, remove stuff, but really balance too, because we got a balance guy here. And I know Odin also is interested in balance. What would you guys do? And why don't we start with Odin?
Well, I've even told Seb that I trust his take on balance, like pretty much to the point where
don't
like
put it all on me. You go first.
Not cool, Odin.
From the perspective of when they have their balance team, because I'm not on the balance team and I don't even really see those discussions. When they have those discussions internally, I know that the interests that I have for the game are pretty well represented by Seb. So I know there's somebody in that room saying things that I would say if I was there. I've been pretty vocal about the fact that I like the idea of upscaling classes to give them more power and more utility, more things to do. I think Barbarian is like the most boring fucking class on the planet. And I do not understand how people main that class. It is just watching paint dry as a class. It is unbelievably one-dimensional and so unfun to play.
And they always shit talk. It's crazy, isn't it?
Well, they got nothing else to do. They're just fucking holding W key. They got to find something to occupy their brains. So
I played Barbarian for one wipe, and man, that was fun. I will say that. From Wizard to Barbarian, I have to play like probably half as good, and I still win twice as much.
Yeah, dude, it must have been great catching up on all these movies while you were clearing lobbies.
Yeah, literally, I would have movies playing, so pretty accurate.
So, but the thing is, like, people have said before, and I kind of agree with this. If a class is incredibly simple, it should not be powerful. If anybody can pick it up and play, it should have like a middling power, and it should just be outplayable. And Barbarian's pretty much in that position, except when it, stat checks. I don't like that as a game design. I don't like, especially for players who want the class fantasy of playing a Barbarian, but the Barbarian has no like interesting skill expression to it. I want more. I would love to see like a skill wheel for melee. Let them have more. Just have more utility at their fingertips. Of course, it's scary to balance something like that. Like imagine Rogue having access to all of its abilities. Like they've got Hide and they've got Cutthroat and they've got Weak Point and Rupture all at their fingertips. It's like, okay, who's gonna live against that? Or a fighter that has Taunt, Second Wind, Breakthrough, and Adrenaline Rush. It's like okay, or Sprint. It's like great. How are we ever gonna balance this? So there's some things that go into designing that, but I wish classes had more interesting ways to build, more tools at their disposal. I wish fighter had like 3 weapon slots so you could run like a halberd and a dagger in a ranged weapon, so you could have more interesting ways to play that setup.
That's a take.
That's my dude. I don't know. I like the idea of adding more mobility skills, but then there's a certain point where we can power creep pretty hard and things can get pretty crazy with barbarians leaping all over the place and fighters charging and wizards blinking and rangers doing fucking backstep and dropping traps on you.
Sound bad.
It sounds really fun,
What'd you
but
say?
it's a
Wizard
lot
Lincoln?
to
I
work
like that.
on. It's a lot to work on, and it would just again fundamentally shift where the game's at. So if I had my my genie lamp and I could just wish it into existence, that's probably the way I would design the game, with more advanced melee combat and better registration with shields and stuff. But in the short term, I think it'd be cool to just give classes like a third skill slot, or I don't know, just more utility. That's pretty much it.
Okay. Okay, Seb, balance, bro. Bring it home before Q&A.
All right, there's going to be a lot of hot takes, but I want to
God.
preface this by saying this is my opinion. This is what I think. This is the game that I would enjoy playing. So this is not actually happening, nor is it like reflecting what actually happened.
All good, brother. All good.
Just
I balanced
disclaimer
it.
flashing
So-
on the screen the whole
Disclaimer.
time.
You can
Disclaimer.
say
I would.
Dark and Darker will be. Go on.
I would remove ruins, bring back crypts.
Hell yeah.
I would bring back the circle on crypts because I think
No.
I enjoy the circle, at least on crypts. In Inferno, we can leave it out, but on crypts, bring back the circle. I think we should add parrying to like shields and stuff. I think we should revert it back to the wipe where gear. So the wipe where you could get like movement speed on rings and leggings and stuff. There was no all attributes, but it was like the gold gear wipe. That wipe was really fun. I think we should put gear back to that. And I think we should remove spell charges and just add cooldowns. That would be fun. Or mana would be cool.
And it would be cool.
Yeah, and I think we should definitely fix a lot of like underused gear and underused items and stuff. But again, like I know that some of that stuff is just impossible, and a lot of it is a hot take because a lot of it is like biased from my perspective as a player and what I enjoy. But genuinely, like ruins, I think that it doesn't fit Dark and Darker in the sense of it does fit Dark and Darker, but not the current PvP meta. Just because it's so open and it favors range classes so much. And Crypt was like the OG, like Crypt was what works. We balanced around Crypts, and it's just so much nicer to play because it's just the most iterated map. And yeah, I mean, I think the gear is less important, but I think Ruins is just not balanced in the way that the game is played right now, which sucks because it is a very beautiful map and it is very, very stunning to look at and play in. But yeah, and I also think that we should definitely fix a lot of the other stuff. Like a lot of class identity is kind of lost right now. Where Rogue, I think I would rework Rogue. I would remove Invis and make it into like kind of a medium range brawler where going Invis is not just what Rogue is, and instead it's like an option as a brawler, kind of like more in line with what Bard is, except Bard is giving buffs to your team and Rogue is like playing on a flank or like going in, dashing in maybe. I would also fix healing. Like healing in the game right now, clerics are OP, and I think that having like 1,200 EHP on a barbarian is kind of overpowered, or even on a wizard or any frontline. And yeah,
I think Rogue should be playing around like shadows and stealth,
or like, something like that. Yeah,
true Invis.
I would just rework it.
A skill that I suggested is like give them like a cloak of darkness thing that literally when you enter a room, if you use the skill, it just turns off all the torches in the room. Just all light sources.
Yeah,
just
I mean anything, or even adding like a spell wheel to Rogue, which is just like a utility wheel where because like smoke pot, caltrops, all that stuff, that should just be put under like one utility wheel where if you take that ability, you have like 3 caltrops and 3 smoke pots and like 3, or you have infinite trap disarming kits and lock picks, and you can swap between your utility belt and like that is an actual skill, because right now smoke pot and caltrops are a meme. It would be nice if like those were just combined into kind of like a spell wheel, except it's utility.
They're not even bad. They're just too limited.
Yeah, definitely.
I think you're cooking like a professional chef right now. You burnt a couple things on the plate. I'm not gonna lie to you. You burnt a couple things. Circle back and Crypts, bro. Turn the heat down on that one, okay? What's up, Odin?
Yeah. About Ruins though, I actually think keep Ruins, but make it like a 7x7 if we can figure out the performance to actually make that work. because I know making a map that size is like very heavy on performance, and the game already has, you know, a lot of technical debt in that aspect. But make ruins are really huge maps, and give it more of a like roaming sub bosses that drop interesting loot. I loved So Bad Strange made a suggestion in the last podcast I was on with them to have like these event zones on the map that like when you have ruins be static and crypts be random, but then when you open up the map on ruins and you see your 7x7, one module will be like highlighted, like there's an event in here and there's something that you want to go for. So if you as a lower tier player don't want to engage with other players, stay the fuck away from that. And if you as a PvPer want to engage with other players, you go to that module because you're going to fight over whatever cool shit is there. I think stuff like that could really spice up the dungeon and make ruins this like noob friendly but still PvP active map. So I don't think necessarily get rid of it, but it definitely needs to change it because the current state ruins
I don't think we should get rid of ruins. I mean, I think ruins like has its place in a world of like continuous dungeon, because in continuous dungeon I can just be like, oh, it's ruins, okay, I'm gonna like go right into red and I'll just play crypts. But I don't want to be forced to play ruins because it's like third party open range benefiting map, and it's just, I mean, like, for lack of a better word, it's just cancer to plan. And as a longtime crypts player, I miss crypts. I miss crypt fights. I miss Inferno fights. And those could happen in crypts and Inferno, but with ruins being in the mix, it just doesn't, which sucks. And I miss crypts so much. And I remember the wipe where it was like ruins, and then which was the gold gear wipe, where it was ruins, and then they decided to take away ruins and put back crypts. And literally everybody, all of my old friends came back to play because they just missed that map.
Yep.
I think I'm one of the rare people that actually kind of likes ruins. I know it's broken. I know it's fucked up. I know it's not perfect. I just kind of like playing in an outdoor map, just aesthetically.
And that's fine. That's fine. And that's why continuous dungeon is cool, because you can play that. But give me Coliseum back, please. I want Coliseum back.
Give me Coliseum. That is so fucking fun.
In chat, cancel him. He likes ruins. Get him out.
I know. Sometimes Soma has bad take, but that's okay. And I'm so sorry that I just referred to. I'm so sorry I referred to myself in the third person too. Let's just pretend I didn't do that.
It's not a bad take. It's an illegal take. Get him out of here.
I think nobody will deny that ruins is a very pretty map and it's really, really cool. But the issue is it's just not properly balanced, and it's hard to balance with it being so open.
I love looking at the sky with my stone cold dead body approximately 12 seconds after spawning on ruins. Really just like lets me take in the view. This panther just
the ambience is unmatched.
It killed me before the first bar filled. That's how you know there's a problem with the map.
Dude, that shit was so funny. I remember watching like when I want to say like a month and a half ago when the PvP was like the most active on ruins and like duos. And it's just and druids were literally just dominating everything. It's literally like the local zoo, just like all the animals escaped because there's just fucking panthers jumping out of bushes, bears mauling people in corners. It was ridiculous. The map is, it's got so many problems. I'm right there with you, Jay. I can't stand it in this current iteration. But I want to hear from Mr. Dark and Darker himself about
balance.
If he had the genie lamp.
Oh, okay, yeah, genie lamp.
Oh,
you get to
like what?
You have the keys of the castle. You have SDF powers, Jay.
I would probably.
Me.
Sorry, Seb. Seb.
Me or Jay?
No, I was talking about Jay.
You were talking about Jay too.
No,
okay, both of you. Both Seb, finish your thoughts first.
You go first, bro.
Finish your thoughts first, and then Jay.
I would remove one Sank charge, and I would remove one Holy Light charge. I would remove Invis. I would make missiles only damage PvE and get rid of them on wizards, so it's actually a skilled class. Yeah. I would just make arrows stack to like 50 instead of 20, only for rangers. And I think for the rest, it's not that important. I think, I'm trying to think what else. Druid, Bard,
boobs on the cat.
Bard severely needs another way to play the class. It's literally played the exact same way throughout the entirety of all of early access. It would be nice to give Bard like another play style. And I think I would definitely fix shields. I think shields it would be nice if shields actually worked.
Yes. It's so annoying
Yep.
seeing a fucking axe head or something go through my fucking shield and hit me.
Yep.
It is
Yeah, and
so
there's some
annoying.
weapons like rapier or crystal sword that literally, if you poke them with a shield, you'll still hit them. I mean,
Yeah.
some stuff like that really severely needs to get fixed.
I mean, we've been fucking bitching about that for a year and a half.
But anyways, you can go now, Jay. That's all I want. Like
Real
balance
quick.
wise, that was it.
Real quick before Jay goes in, because I want to hear his whole uninterrupted Genie lamp take.
Oh,
I have a
it's gonna be like
posted.
2 sentences.
No, come on, you gotta have more than that. In the chat, I put in the group chat, I put a little image, and I was like, we got this. We've had these two little mysterious squares. I don't know if someone can bring it up on the screen so that stream can see it. But we've had these two mysterious little squares hanging out just below our inventory, and I suggested today, I was like, what if we just add more inventory slots right there? But it's only for utility. So arrows, potions, torches, campfires,
quest items.
Like a utility belt you can put there.
Not even that. Not even quest items. It's just for utility. Because if you get all your potions and arrows and all that other shit into its own little inventory, and then you have your full inventory open, you're opening up so much space, and it doesn't require us to add a backpack or a quiver or anything like that. It's just an additional slot that is only for utility, and it just gets rid of the need to do any extra development except just add more inventory squares.
Yeah.
Can't really argue with that. I mean, I think that we've talked about this in the podcast before. Like, what the fuck are those empty slots for, and how we can utilize them? I think we talked about that over a year ago. Yeah.
Some guy on Reddit figured it out in 30 minutes with Microsoft Paint, if you can believe it. He just dragged a little quiver icon, some arrows, and he dragged a little, like, I can't remember. I think it was like a med bag, little bandies and pots. It looked really nice.
Cool.
All right, so let's move into.
Hit it, Jay. Or just Jay don't.
I don't know, bro. I've been asked this question a million.
He has been
times.
asked 1,000 times.
I'm not.
You don't even play the game.
It's like they just gotta look at it. They're like, why do I like Dark and Darker, and how do we make that better? You know what I mean? Like, fuck all this other bullshit. Who fucking asked my religion? Like, I'm gonna be pretty bashful against bullshit fluff like that. Is all. I just want more stuff in the game. Give me some more spells. Is that so hard?
Yeah, we need
have like
we need more
stuff. Spells in the last year, like.
Oh well, hey, listen, I will tell you this much.
I've been asking for more spells. Trust me,
if you're gonna put items in the game, don't make it like knowledge, will, resourcefulness, plate gear. Like, that kind of shit's just a waste of everybody's time. Give me more weapons. Give me shit to do in the game.
What would you think about having What would you think about having spell recovery as an affix that can roll on gear? Like, you can get increased spell recovery, so when you rest, it just increases how fast you recover your spells.
Like spell memory capacity. I think the stat already does that.
So I was thinking about this, and it's like, so if we're gonna add sockets, what if sockets only gave you tertiary stats instead of being able to get? So like, have your main rolls, and then just like World of Warcraft, you get a socketable gem, but instead of letting you roll magic power or strength, you could only get like utility stats like spell recovery.
I feel like that would be the equivalent of like rolling up in a Ferrari, but you took out the Ferrari engine and put in a Prius engine. Like,
if you could only roll the sockets with, so the sockets were just, you get to add, like, you can add luck, or you can add spell recovery, or you can
luck, I think it would make it pointless.
Speed,
nobody
or
wants
whatever.
that.
Right.
I mean, I don't think it's terrible, but yeah, it's not like it's like falls into religion, right? It's like it doesn't really do a whole lot, is all.
It doesn't add much depth to the game.
Also,
real
quick, while I still have the soapbox here, because I'm getting DM'd by someone right now. Guys, don't DM me about like cheat reports and stuff. There's a cheat report channel. That's not my. I can't help you. If you DM me about cheaters or teamers, I can't do anything for you. I'm not on those teams, and there is a channel in our Discord for in-game reports that generates a ticket for our teams that handle that stuff to see. That is literally something they have to do as part of their job. So please don't DM me about that stuff, or anybody else on the staff.
All right, well said.
DM Odin all of your takes on how the state of the game PvP meta-wise is going.
I'm going to forward all of them to Jay.
And his DMs with all of the complaints that you have about Dark and Darker.
You guys are mean.
Just everything.
One thing I would throw out though is, this was a long time ago too. I would say probably like 9 months ago, someone had a really good idea about like mini artifacts, like before they were a thing. stuff that'll change how you play the game. So
Yeah.
I always reference it. Like, let's just say, like Ice Bolt. Let's say if I had this certain item on that was like Ice Chill Boots, whatever, but it augments my
Yeah,
frostbite.
yeah.
Every time I hit like an Ice Bolt, he's like a little pool of ice, or just shit like stuff
I
that'll
actually
change
suggested
how you
something
play
like
the
that
game.
recently.
Stuff like that.
Well,
Would
yeah,
probably go a long
it's
way.
like if you have a certain play style, like I love lobbing fireballs or chain lightnings, whatever, you can get like I get what you mean, like having the firebound boots or something, or the lightning gloves
anything
that
other
make it
than
so.
number go up.
Yeah,
Anything
yeah.
to break
Like a little more depth,
I
a little
don't
more
want just more
three
stats. Just
dimensionality.
give me a little something. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
A little something. Right.
Okay, beautiful. Well, we're about an hour and 40 in, so why don't we take a few questions before we call the episode?
Yep.
Chat, drop your questions, your complaints, your compliments, whatever you
Before we do
do.
that, what class everybody playing in PoE on Friday? I'm really torn right
We're
now.
gonna talk about that at the end. Stop. That's coming. Come on, you think I'm not gonna bring up PoE 2? Come on, it's coming. Let's do Q&A first. We don't want to break it up and make this a PoE 2 Q&A.
I already know the answer to this.
Hold on. Okay, go ahead, Jay.
I go. I already know, but like, are skill trees worked on at all?
I have no idea.
Like even conceptualized.
We don't know.
I am not at liberty to answer that question.
Say no more. I honestly don't know. Seb, if you actually know something, run now.
Word for 2.5 years at this point. Like,
I am not at liberty to answer that question.
And you're gonna keep waiting for 4 more years.
I'm putting my PR face on. I'm not at liberty to comment on that.
I genuinely don't know.
I don't know either. Yeah.
We'll slap a whip sticker on it and right next to the quiver. Throw it in the bin.
And wands, right next to wands.
I am wands. I read in the trailer of the launch.
I saw Spud. 2022. I saw Spud in the chat earlier, and he was like, the monster guy works on the monsters, and the quiver guy works on the quiver.
Yeah.
Yep.
Quagga asks, are there any plans to raise draw distance in the dungeon, or is that a limitation consideration for weaker hardware? Or is it for rangers with no sniping ability? I honestly have no idea. I wish there was better draw distance. What's up?
I asked SDF before, I think. He said it was really bad performance. And then when I asked the developers in my chat, they also said the same thing.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I mean, whenever the draw distance is an issue in the same exact module you're in, though, like, come on. Like, I feel like I should be able to see. I want to see everything in at least the module I'm in. If there's a door open and I can see into the next module, but monsters are clipping in and out because of draw distance, I kind of get that.
Just by rendering 3 slimes.
I know. That's true. I don't know. I want to be able to see everything in the same module that I'm fucking in. That's all. That's what I care about. Scratch One Tango says Q&A question. Soma J, our talent tree. Oh, that's the one you already asked.
I was the one I was asking.
Never mind. Sorry about that. Let's continue on. Okay. He's fucking in the modules. That's so Draven. You're silly.
All right.
Okay. Let's see here. What do we got? Why did I think that Rogue needs 2 invis changes while being so strong with armor pen, anti-healing, etc.?
Good question.
I actually know the reason for that, but
all right.
I can't really talk about it. But
all right.
Yeah, it's something I can't really comment on. But basically, Rogue is definitely, well, at least it was. I haven't played since the update because I was traveling, but it was underforming by a significant amount. So we wanted to like give something to Rogue. I don't think we foresaw the whole. We actually did. We caught the double invis and like being able to infinitely do it, and we actually thought that we had made it to where it wasn't possible. But it seems like we definitely forgot about something, and it was possible. Because obviously people are doing the infinite invis thing, but it's definitely not what we intended for it.
Well, there you go. Okay. Let's see here. Bring us questions, folks, or the Q&A is done.
I got one thing. Have rogues ever been bad? Just a
yeah.
question.
There have been times where rogues are extremely bad.
False.
I mean, rogue in trios.
I recall like the one time where they took all the damage out. That was about it.
Well, rogue in trios just because of how the class is played sucks, because it's literally essentially just a worse bard. I feel like in trios, not now, but before we did the invis buffs and like the poison buffs to give it some anti-heal to be able to hold its own against like a cleric comp. The rogue itself was
by a bard out of stealth though. You know what I mean?
I mean, dude, you sure? Oh, Song of Shadow is just. I've done some dirty
if
things.
I died
with
a Song of Shadow, that's my fault.
True.
You'd be surprised.
You can hear him play it from like 4 modules out.
Oh yeah, and I've still caught some people lacking that are actually very good at the game. So it's very overpowered, and I mean, like Song of Shadow. Obviously, you don't have this. The sound of it is an aspect, but Bard also just gives you like 2 all attributes to your entire team. You get the MDR and the PDR, plus you get the speed and everything. It's like it is just a better option in a trio than a rogue, and I feel like rogue definitely it needs to have a place in trios, and it sucks whenever it's just kind of left out, because if you're playing somebody with a brain, or if you're playing against somebody with a brain and you have one invis and like you invis in, I'm fighting you, I see 2 players, I'm like, okay, where's the third? He's probably a rogue, and your entire class is just done because you can't sneak up on me or get to me, and it kind of sucks.
I'm gonna get a little nerdy here, because I'm a big fighting game enjoyer, and I'm now working on my 9th character to master in Street Fighter 6. There's something in fighting games called mental stack, and some people might be familiar with that term, but essentially what mental stack means is balancing all of the options that you have in a particular position or against all the options that your opponent has. And what that kind of boils down to when you think about Rogue and look back on times where Rogue was really, really powerful, a Rogue existing created a massive mental stack for the opponent team, because you always had to worry about, could the rogue be invis in the room with us right now? Can he be flanking us right now? Are we gonna have to deal with a guy being in our module without any idea that he was there, on top of the fact that they can still poke with poison and rupture and all that other stuff? The class created this really toxic environment when you're trying to play against them, because you have to think about all this shit constantly, whereas all the other classes, you're just looking straight at them, aside from when Wizard had permanent invis with no after image. It just the class is like just demands a lot from the opponents to constantly be aware of where the rogue is, and that's why I don't like the design of Hyde, because when rogue is strong and is able to instantly burst out of class, Hyde is just intrinsically toxic and nobody likes dealing with it.
Hyde sucks. Invis, full render invis in Dark and Darker is cancer. It is bad. It is bad for the health of the game, and I don't think anybody denies that.
Render traps, yeah.
And 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 like fully de-rendering somebody from your screen is horrible. It's just a bad game mechanic, because you could play perfectly and you still walk into a room and there's a guy that sat behind a door and he pops his invis and you don't know he's there, and then you're dead. And how is that fun? It's not fun.
Yeah, I mean, people have been bitching about landmine rogue for ages and ages for a reason, because it does suck. Yeah.
And it's landmine anything, because there's still Song of Shadow, invis pots, wizard invis, like.
You could be a fucking druid rat hiding in a pot for fuck's sake. I mean, that's almost invis.
The chicken, you don't make noise as a chicken, but
sure,
exactly.
Yeah.
You shadow chickens. Shadow chicken into bear. Oh god, that shit was awful.
Dude, I was fighting Kazarin, and he's sitting in a bush the entire game, and I walked past him, and he just like from the bush he turns into a bear and one taps me, and I was like, okay, well, this is fun. Like.
Spud Hunter just said something. Real talk. The Cycle Frontier has a lot of data to use for the devs' direction, going the same route of persistent servers. Obviously, saving costs with money is a huge benefit, and maybe on a gameplay level, it fills servers more. However, there's people sniping their own lobbies to get back to bodies, stream sniping streamers, and one cheater unchecked in a lobby for hours/days, and it destroys the experience for everyone on that regional server. Just throwing that out there.
I think what Spud is saying is very important, and I think we definitely need to try and like take a lot of inspiration from what Cycle Frontier did. I've never played Cycle, but
they don't exist anymore. That's one takeaway.
Yeah, it's gone. Yeah. You never will, buddy. You never will, Seb.
But if they did persistent or persistent levels, whatever they called it, and I think we definitely need to study what they did and what went wrong. and definitely make sure that we don't do the same mistakes. Otherwise, that would just kind of like be shooting ourselves in the foot, right?
I didn't really play Cycle. Those were any spotty. I'm pretty sure it was because the one, I think the devs sucked kinda, and then they didn't ever wrangle in the cheaters. Right?
I think part of the problem.
Well, yeah.
Cycle.
I think part of the problem too is just the OCE server. Like I think the solution, right, is to just put a lasso around Australia and just pull it closer to the United States, and then we don't have to do it the same way.
Yeah, I feel for the Aussies. I really do. Okay, let's take like 2 more questions.
Yeah, then I gotta run.
Yeah, it's getting late. I need to get some food. I'm starving. It's already 8 p.m. Okay, 2 more questions. Chat. Okay, here we go. That's so Draven. Is housing coming anytime soon? I personally don't know. I have no idea. I think housing could be cool. I think it's somewhat exciting. I know some people really fucking love that kind of shit, but we just don't know. I hope that it is not prioritized over something like gameplay loops or class progression, stuff like that. But yeah, I think it is a cool thing. What you got, Jay?
Just my own personal concern from the podcast or from the Q&A. I don't know if this is overreacting to him saying it or what, but Terrence at one point said, I think it was in response to Sorcerer, where he was like, and he like scared everybody, maybe saying that like Sorcerer wasn't coming. He said something basically along the lines of like, if we don't give Sorcerer, then people aren't going to be happy with giving them the same wipe. Something like that, more or less. You guys think that's concerning, or you think that was a way with words?
I think it was a way with words.
Dude, so? I'm telling you right now that randomized crypts is literally, you could just take everything else out of the game and just put random crypts and Inferno in, and it would be the most fun wipe we've played in quite a while. It's so good. It's so good.
I think it solves like half the issues. Rats and third parties.
It solves so many issues.
Yep.
Like random dungeons and continuous dungeons, we did the math. I was in the original design meeting and the follow-up design meeting for that system, and I sat there through 4 hours of a meeting and saw all of the pros and cons of it, and it is actually huge. Like it's such a big benefit.
Dude, okay. I'll give you one little spoiler, because this isn't really this isn't breaking anything.
SDF typing.
I spawned in I'm not even going to explain it really, but for anybody who knows, I spawned in Cistern, and there was a new little piece of rubble that allowed me to walk to a door that wasn't normally where it was, and then I walked into Longbridge and came out where the health shrine was, and I was like, whoa, this is completely different. This is so sick. Yeah, I was cool. Like, if this is what we're getting ourselves into, this is going to be so much fun.
I'm curious, have you... So you have or haven't played Odin?
I played, but I haven't done the continuous dungeon. Yeah. But I've played the random dungeon, the random.
I'm curious if you guys have gotten any like super cancer AIDS layouts. You know what I'm talking about, from being randomly generated. Has it ever been like X
not really
into the big circle? No, okay. I'm just curious.
No.
I can't wait to get like the most cursed crypt setup, where it's just like every worst room you can ever think of in like a row.
It could happen.
What do people call that room? I never remember the name of the room, but I always call it crossover. You know that room that has the iron gate in the middle, archer and spider pot, and then on the other side it's a bunch of zombies and one mummy that spawns. You know what I'm talking about? It's like 2 Y-shaped rooms that meet in the middle.
Yeah. Where you used to mine ruby silver.
Yes,
popping back in the
yeah. So I had that room spawn. God, it was like right next to Donut, and the way it linked was just like so miserable to move around. But I was like, this is a kind of a good thing, because it further kind of disincentivized the spawn rush meta. So it just made the dungeon feel, I don't know, more dynamic. But again, that's also just the fact that it's new and I never experienced it before. But I was like, damn, if this was like a static layout of crypts, I would hate this.
Runs with Wood had a question. Are there any plans to introduce more utility to existing items, such as the player's soul? when queuing with randoms and they
so.
die, they just leave sometimes. It'd be cool to be compensated somehow with the soul if you're not going to be able to res them. Some sort of buff or healing via consumable, etc. I think something like that is cool. Yeah, I personally would like to see the soul used more, especially, like class-specific stuff too. Like, what if the warlock could do something with someone's soul or something like that? I think that would be pretty badass. But I don't personally know.
What if there was class quests? What if there's class quests that unlocked like a whole new thing for your class? Like one of the suggestions I made was like, we'd have to balance it, but if like wizard could dual wield crystal sword and crystal ball, or like
2 balls, huh?
Yeah.
Nice, Odin.
Crystal sword and crystal ball. I don't know where one of those is not a ball. But yeah,
like I said,
like give
coincidence. I don't know. Now he's talking about 2 balls. Crazy.
Odin getting real sus.
Adding like a quest that lets purify like flashbang players so that it's now actually a viable PvP skill to some degree.
I don't think you'd find one person who wouldn't like class quests, to be fair.
Yeah, I just think
I think what we should definitely add is for certain classes like wizards and sorcerer and cleric and all of those spellcasting classes, is there should be certain class quests that unlock spells for that class. Like as the progression on a wizard, for example, would be far more deep if I start out with like my ice bolt, my missiles, my fireball, whatever. But if and it's like kind of like desert treasure on RuneScape, if you guys know what that is, or like unlocking these quests that through a lot of playtime will reward you by giving you special spells and giving you, which doesn't necessarily give you a huge advantage. It just gives you better playability and more diversity, and you can kind of build however you want. And like let's say I do the I don't know, like the Path to Glory quest, and it lets me get a spell on cleric that lets me I don't know do something.
Yeah, so
just anything like that would be super cool.
I think you're onto something, and I'm going to bring up subclassing. But what if you hit level 20, you unlocked 2 different subclasses that you could choose from, and as you are progressing through your subclass, partaking on certain class quests actually unlock additional trees or something like that. Or there's a class quest chain you have to complete to unlock the ability to subclass or something like that. I'm not saying that should be in the game, but I think that would be super fucking fun. And it kind of plays into exactly what you're saying. So I choose the Necromancer subclass as a wizard. Well, now I have to go do some shit in Inferno as a wizard, and I have to collect a bunch of skulls and put them on a mantle in Inferno and unlock necromantic abilities inside me or something like that. That kind of shit would be super cool. And I think that's the kind of exciting sort of loop and exciting class progression system that hooks people into a game and retains players and makes them want to try multiple different classes, multiple different subclasses, try different builds. That is how you retain players. So yeah, I think it'd be fucking cool. Absolutely.
What about clue scrolls? Give us clue scrolls. That'd be sick.
True. Actually, straight up, yeah. They just need to utilize shit in the dungeon, just like give purpose.
We definitely need to do that. Yeah. We definitely need to do that. We need to I don't know the word in English. I'm like thinking in Italian, but we need to have a more profound experience in the dungeon where the things that you do have a little more effect. And obviously I say this kind of from an objective point of view because I really don't want to do things that only benefit the hardcore players. I feel like we definitely also need to make stuff for some more of like the casual people. And it shouldn't just be like kill 1 million skeletons to get this. It needs to just be stuff that maybe even through Easter eggs or something like that, where everybody can do it relatively easily. It just takes the effort to do it, and then you unlock it forever, or that you really do benefit off the time that you spend in the dungeon. Right now, it's like the game loop right now is pretty toxic because the time that it takes you to pay for your kit back, for example, it's far more games than it takes to lose it. And there's just a lot of the game loop is very unhealthy right now, and I think we definitely need to make it more healthy. And although it sounds like a meme, stuff like fishing and stuff like questing and stuff, all of that really does add to the game, and it gives more objectives, and it lets people have a little break from just the constant like third part, like dying to stupid shit and being
Dude,
mad about it and then
I
quitting.
love player NPCs. Okay, shout out to Asymmetrical Soul when he did the tiny shop. I fucking love that shit. It was
that was
so
cool.
good.
That was great.
And adding more stuff like that to the game, like fishing, that gives players the ability to have their player NPCs. That shit's awesome. I mean, that's like kind of the life of Dark and Darker. And like when you look back at some of the peak moments of Dark and Darker, it's like when everybody sucked at the game and VoIP was introduced and everybody was just being friendly and just dying to mobs together in giant balls. That was a lot of fun.
That was so fun.
Like and every time there's like some cool new thing that somebody comes up with. I love the other guy that used to do like shopkeeping, and he would like ban people from his, so I think adding more non-combat activities to the game that encourage that kind of stuff is, it is definitely a net positive for the game. Obviously the tiny shop thing had some additional problems that were getting abused, and that's why it had to get removed, unfortunately. It's not something that we did with joy because we all found it really funny internally as well. Also, Seb, when you were talking and you were saying you couldn't think of the English word for it, somebody pointed out that the word you were looking for was gabagool. So
gabagool. We need the gabagool. Guys, this was a great episode. We just hit 2 hours.
Yep.
I need dinner bad. My stomach is eating itself right
now. Dude, I know you're blurring out of reality here.
Yeah, I know.
Wait,
I know.
Final one. Why can't chicken crouch anymore?
Why can't chicken crouch anymore? I'll tell you exactly why. Because end call. No, I don't know.
Wow. Fix your game.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Getting teabagged by a chicken. I mean, like, find me another game where you see a chicken teabagging a dead guy. Oh, wait.
Listen, man, I love the salt. We should definitely add that back in. The chicken teabagging, that's really a priority. Because then we add, because it's so easy to do, or like I'm assuming it's easy to do, but then we add that back. And then everybody complains and they're like, why did you focus on doing chicken crouching when you should have been missing
like,
this is the reason.
The chicken dude, listen, they have to understand that we have a chicken crouching guy and he works on the chicken crouching. It's not taking away from the map guy because the chicken crouching guy is working on it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Gents, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for coming on for episode 77.
Don't forget, everybody.
I was just about to ask you. Yeah.
We'll announce it on Discord. I knew that's where you were going. We'll announce it on Discord to make it official so that everybody knows when it's going to be happening. But we don't have a time yet. But next Friday should be the introductory episode for Tavern Table, and that will be going more into depth. That is where our dev cast. I don't think SCF or Terry are going to be on that, but we're going to have information from them to talk about and some cool stuff to tease and reveal. So just make sure you guys tune in for that, but we'll look out for the announcement because we'll let everybody know what time it's actually going to be live. That will be on the Ironmace Twitch.
Beautiful. Odin, thanks for joining as always. I'll see you at work tomorrow. Seb, really, really awesome having you on, dude. You got a lot of good takes. It was a pleasure, guys.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, a lot of good takes. You're a sharp guy. You obviously care about the game, and Ironmace needs that. So that's really cool. Odin, where can people find you on the internet?
Don't look for me.
Okay. Seb, where can people find you on the internet if you want to be found?
I'm just on Discord, FeSeb.
That's
smart. You can find me trolling Ken in the arena.
Okay.
That's where you can find me.
There you go.
All right, Griffia.
Yeah.
Why do you even do me? Jay Griffia on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. God, that's so cringe.
Everyone wants to do you. Come on.
I know all of us. Okay.
I didn't know. For the longest time, I had this like Mandela moment where I was thinking like your name was about Ken Griffey, and I didn't realize that there's a rapper named Jay Griffey.
Yeah.
I like looked it up and I was like, oh,
Jay, and from my World of Warcraft randomly generated name from like 18 years ago. So
Jay Griffia.
Yeah.
It's a great name.
Yep.
Beautiful.
And 6'9".
All right, guys, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much for having us, and hopefully, hopefully we'll see you on the Tavern Talk, Jay. Be nice.
Oh, I'm not going there. I'll be in the chat though. I'll watch.
There you go.
Unless that's what you meant, then yeah, you got me.
I am at Soma on everything except for YouTube. It's at _Soma. That's where you can watch this podcast and 5th edition D&D sessions. And I'm still thinking about and cooking up a potential second podcast or like a one-on-one interview type show or something like that. That's just general, not Dark and Dark related. Because I like producing shows and hosting shows. It's fucking fun. I enjoy it.
You have a problem.
I know, dude. It's a hobby. You know, we all have our hobbies.
I don't even like DMing one person. I don't know how you like run a whole show and want to do it again. It's ridiculous.
Bro, we get it. You
I'm a
hate
nerd.
people. It's all right.
I would show up.
That's hilarious.
All right, boys.
Yep, chat. Thank you so much. We're gonna get out of here. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you in the dungeons.
Peace out,
Bye,
homies.
buddy.
Bye.
Later.
Goodbye.